And yo, the Sports Bag Bros podcast is back on, and it is Thursday. The last time we were on, it was Monday, of course, because we're on Mondays and Thursdays. You're going to get your drop of this all the time. We're heading into a weekend, but just between those days, Tuesday, Wednesday, now we're here Thursday, what has happened? A lot has happened. It's sports. It's almost like a soap opera. What's going on? The NBA Finals tonight. Finally, the Dallas Mavericks going up to the Boston to play against the Celtics. The Celtics are a 6.5-point favorite, and Kristaps Porzingis is joining the dance. So I guess the 6.5 is expected to go a little higher.
Yeah, I haven't seen the line, but I'm excited for these finals. It's going to be Luka and Kyrie taking on a really strong starting five. Hopefully, I mentioned it last week, I believe, or I don't remember if it was Monday. Porzingis comes back. He had that calf injury, similar to what KD had. KD came back and ruptured his Achilles. Let's knock on wood. Hope that doesn't happen to Porzingis. But let's get to the topic at hand. CJ Stroud went on the podcast and was asked a question.
And the question was, his response is even more important than the question, because it seems like he has some hidden agenda. And then he brings up Matt Stafford as this guy is the game changer that kind of he models his game after. He says he doesn't watch any other quarterback. Yeah, he watches Patrick Mahomes because of fun and because of what Patrick Mahomes does. Isn't conventional. But if he wants to learn the game of football and see who he should model his game after in terms of the cerebral way, it's freaking Matt Stafford. Go figure.
Well, he was asked whose career would he rather have, Eli Manning's or Aaron Rodgers? Mm-hmm. And he said it's about the rings. So he picked Eli. And I can't hate on him for that. You know, if you're thinking as an individual, do you want to be Eli or do you want to be Aaron Rodgers? But the career, Eli has 2 rings. Aaron Rodgers only has 1. Yep. He has some questionable losses in the playoffs. So maybe CJ Stroud is right. But as you alluded to, it seems like he had things on his mind and maybe jabbing Aaron Rodgers a little bit. He sounded like a Bears fan.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, man, when it comes down to this, we looked at CJ Stroud last season, and as he had done what he had done, we appreciated it and give him even more credit because of what he had done, which he had deserved. But he looked like the humble guy coming along. It never was a story about him saying something out of pocket or disrespecting somebody. It's like he just went about his business. He was on the train along with everybody else, D'Amico Ryans included, and they just went as far as they can go. At least this year, his rookie year, he exceeded all expectations at the number 2 pick overall in the draft. But then this year, it seems like, I don't know if this is the beginning of coming out with a bang. And kind of, if you want to go back to boxing, we once thought Bill Haney was one of the coolest dudes ever, man. Look what he had done. Now he's turned out to be one of the most toxic and caricature guys in boxing. You know, he had this one personality. Now the light is on him. All of a sudden, he's a completely different person, and a completely different person we don't want to grasp onto. I don't know if CJ Stroud is heading in the same direction, but man, I hope this is in the beginning of opening up a Pandora's box of being different than what we're thinking that he is, as far as just going about his business and taking care of business.
Well, let's be honest, though. Did he really throw shade at Aaron Rodgers? He didn't say he sucks. You know, it's true. He only has 1 Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So he picked Eli because he has more than 1. You know, what did he say that was so bad? But also, I think the setting, you know, he was probably too comfortable. He's on a podcast, chilling on a couch. You know, they asked him a question. He gave a very honest answer, as opposed to him being mic'd up with ESPN or NFL Network, and where he might choose his words more carefully. But again, I don't think he said anything bad.
I mean, you want players or anybody to be honest to start with. You don't want it to be something where you're putting out one projection and it's completely different behind closed doors. Yeah, let him be more relaxed. Let him be more what he is, and let him say what he really means as it comes out. Now, like you say, he didn't say anything bad, but in this world of changing the narratives and switching things,
mean sensitivity?
This world of sensitivity. Let's call it what it is. It's the sensitivity and people deliberately being and willfully being, sensitive about everything that's going on. But when you talked about the Super Bowl rings, it makes it seem like, yeah, of course, all players want to talk about that Super Bowl ring until they're in for a little while longer. And then there's a lot more money to be made. And that's how these people go from team to team. The team that didn't have a shot is all of a sudden the team you're going to because the dollar sign was bigger. And Aaron Rodgers, 4 MVPs, 1 Super Bowl. And I think, did he point to, he didn't say anything completely bad, but I think it left a lot for the imagination. And if you want to be very imaginative, you could come up with something, because he was saying that, well, Tom Brady treated his players well. And Tom Brady, you see, he has championships because of the way he treated his players. So that's going to insinuate that, well, maybe Aaron Rodgers isn't treating his teammates that well. That's why he only has 1 championship. And going by some of this media and things on the outside, we've heard stories about Aaron Rodgers not exactly being the absolute team player, and he's that guy that will get in your butt about it. Well, there could be, it can make it true or make it seem like a slight.
I think I have heard Rodgers referred to as a diva. I can't remember who said it, but I believe I have heard it. So that what you're saying is true as far as the conclusions that could be drawn from his comments about Tom Brady. But as just being as a Jets fan as you are, I'm sure Aaron Rodgers pulled his calendar out and he circled the date when Halloween, they played the Texans.
Halloween, bro.
Halloween night, right?
Yeah, cutting down trick and treat.
He circled it. He grabbed a highlighter. He highlighted it. I'm pretty sure Texas is going to get the best Aaron Rodgers that there's possible.
Didn't the Jets already beat them last year, but it was without Aaron Rodgers? They did it with freaking Zach Wilson.
Hit the button. Come on now.
And then Sauce Gardner is now pointing out Zach Wilson. I think he's going to be a top-tier quarterback in this league someday in Denver. He couldn't do it for your team, but in Denver he should. I don't know. That's yet to be decided. But once again, as far as Aaron Rodgers goes, when the option was out there for him to come to the Jets initially, I said it. I don't want that diva on my team. Come on now. So as far as people saying that he was a diva, it kind of resonated with people who thought he was a diva. And from the outside looking in, that's what I thought the Jets were getting. And when he came, he was received well, and he didn't do anything to make people think that he was a diva, but he didn't play a season either. To be part of the ups and downs and be the reason for the ups and downs, and for people to draw that conclusion when his true feelings are coming out, when your Sunday best is all over with.
Yeah, you have a better gauge of what's going on with the Jets than I do. I don't pay attention to the Jets, but I just know Aaron Rodgers is a competitor.
Oh, absolutely.
He talk shit to Bears fans after touchdowns. I know he's got that date circled and highlighted.
I would just check it out, change it a little bit to Josh Jacobs, who used to play for the Raiders, now with the Green Bay Packers in your division. That NFC North is pretty damn loaded now, going with talent, and now the team's kind of rising from that. And looking at what the Bears had done in the offseason, just adding Caleb Williams to the mix, you're talking about the team they built around him. They're going to make things more formidable as a division. But Josh Jacobs was talking about how the Raiders wanted to make him take a pay cut in addition to just, continue to lose. There wasn't going to be too much difference. They said they wanted him to take a pay cut, and they weren't doing too much of anything else. And going by what the Raiders have done in the past recent memory, they've been losing. So you're asking your star running back who had over 1,600 yards in 2022, led the NFL, take a pay cut, stay on this team. Well, you're still part of one of the 32 NFL teams in the country, and just lose. So he had a better option up there in Green Bay. And with Love throwing the ball, well, they're going to be a more formidable team. You like to believe that they have a true number one running back now.
Yeah, it seems that way. If Jacobs is healthy, that's going to be a very rugged running game. And Love, he was playing at a high level at the end of last season and going into the playoffs. So, yeah, the Packers' offense is going to be dangerous.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man, because I wasn't expecting that from Love last year. I thought he would be not a stopgap guy, but someone who was learning on the job, even though he
seemed like a game manager early in the season.
And early on, he did. I saw that
and
first game
against the Bears. He became a playmaker.
And then almost he just grew. He was held the same way that old school quarterbacks used to be held. when you redrafted a quarterback or he came as a free agent, they sat down, not for a year. They sat down for multiple years and learned behind whoever they were learning behind, a good or bad quarterback. We saw that with Steve Young sitting behind Joe Montana, and when the time was right, he got in, didn't too much miss a beat, and still got his Super Bowl at the end of the day. And this is what Jordan Love was able to do in this new age NFL when they're force feeding everybody, regardless. He had his chance to wait, happens to be behind Aaron Rodgers. And when he came in, he looked like a rookie all over again playing against the Bears the first time. Yeah, they won the game. You look at the numbers at the end of the day, but you had to watch that game to see how those numbers were gotten. And then later on in the season, he showed drastic improvement. Now he seems like he's on the ascent of becoming one of those elite quarterbacks going into 2024.
Yeah, he was very impressive at the end of last season and in the playoffs. Hopefully that was a fluke and he comes back to earth this year.
Well,
but word out of Bears camp is the Bears defense is looking really good. Someone called them a top 5 defense, which would be awesome, but they're letting the offense know about it too. You know, Jalen Johnson, he got his bag. He's saying he wants to be the best cornerback in the league. That defensive backfield is very talented. You got Brisker. They signed Byard. Tariq Stevenson's going into his second year. Had a pretty solid rookie year. So when they're breaking up passes or getting picks, they're letting Caleb know about it. So they're not making things easy on him.
And you know what? In even preseason games or mini camps or OTAs, I kind of like hold back on what people are saying because the defense, first of all, is usually ahead even during training camp, not let alone mini camp. But now you're talking about going against a rookie quarterback who has to figure out what's going on. And even when he gets to training camp, he'll be trying to figure out what's going on, let alone going into the season. So the defense is supposed to be ahead naturally. And now they're going ahead and doing well against that same rookie. He's going to go through his growing pains in practice just as well as he has to do in regular games. So doing well against that, you really can't gauge that defense right now. Now, you mentioned guys and you know that they've made the team better defensively in the secondary especially. You just hope that it plays out because that's what it's supposed to do. That's why they brought the guys in.
Right. But there's also clips on YouTube of Williams hooking up with Odunze or with DJ Moore where he's throwing dimes. But it's OTAs. It's 7-on-7 for the most part. So it's not even really real football. But from what they're seeing, the speed of the defense is what's been impressive early on.
And that's good. And I think, every year you have a team or teams, period, all 32 of them looking forward to the upcoming training camps and everybody's enthusiastic. Everybody's starting off on a clean slate. And we've seen teams that go from kind of sort of nowhere to somewhere or trying to get somewhere. Detroit was one of those teams last year. Even though the previous season you saw the ascension, you just hope that it continued if you were a Detroit fan. But if you weren't a Detroit fan, you kind of saw it in the past and saw it drop back down the following season, no momentum. And that last year, they got themselves closer than where they've ever been, as far as this era goes. So, Chicago's in that same boat, the Jets, all 32 teams. Everybody's but some could be, as competitors, players are going to all think they have an opportunity. From people on the outside and people who do know better within organizations, they know how far their team has to go. They're just hoping for the best. And you get a CJ Stroud kind of season from a whole team instead of just, trying to struggle to get to where you think you belong or you want to be ahead of schedule. Just put it that way.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think about Tua? They're talking about him getting a new contract.
Man, you know what? Who else is going to be out there to get? Really? You have to give him his contract because you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. You know about his injuries, but you know when he's on, he's on. You still have to build a team around him as well. You got to keep that offensive line intact because he's going to be the guy that can get it done. These running backs getting injured like last season, and then, wide receivers not playing up the expectations at the time when they need to, like Tyreek Hill, not living up to it when it really mattered, getting, 60-yard games or 50-yard games. But Tua deserves it because there really isn't another option to come in and learn the system and pick up where they left off. He already is there. He's been there. He's been there his entire career. I think the reward should come now. They talked about last year how he should stay healthy. He did that part. And so now I think he needs to get rewarded. And this is a risky game anyway.
Yeah.
You can't say Kirk Cousins coming off of injury got a bag. Come on, man. And an old player.
Yeah, and Tua's actually slimmed down. I believe he wants to be more elusive in the back in the pocket, so he takes less punishment. Good luck with that.
And he could move around. When he was at Alabama in his freshman year, you saw him moving around.
He had that hip injury, though.
Yeah, the hip, exactly. Things have changed since then. But even with the injuries, he still has taken chances probably when he should not have had. I know the coaches are probably looking at it scared as hell as he moved around, but that's just the nature of a competitor. But it's still up to them to put the team around him, especially the offensive line that's going to help keep him upright and give him the time he needs to throw the ball, because he doesn't even need a lot of time. He has a pretty quick release.
Yeah, and he's very accurate as well.
Very accurate, man.
As far as just talent, mentality, and arm, the whole package, Tua has it.
After the beating he has taken and the situation he was in where people were questioning whether he should even retire this early, the mentality has to be there. If he's gotten through it and came out on top, at least statistically and everywhere else, success-wise, because it didn't take a step back, he actually went forward. Yeah, the mentality is not even a thing, man. It's just a matter of the team doing what they're supposed to do. Secure your quarterback, your star quarterback, your franchise quarterback, and then keep them healthy with adding those offensive linemen, because that's what it's going to come down to, and running backs willing to block. These little guys, not too much into the blocking game, but you want to get guys who can block and save it, because, once again, he has a quick enough release to where you don't have to do anything extraordinary to protect him. He'll figure out where it needs to go and get it there quicker than most quarterbacks.
Yeah, so you mentioned Cousins getting a bag. If Cousins gets a bag coming off an Achilles injury and hasn't played a down since, then Tua definitely deserves a bag.
That's what I mean.
I don't know if he's going to get Justin Jefferson type money, or is he going to get top 5 quarterback money? But whatever it is, he deserves it.
Well, his agent knows better. His agent knows that you're going to get quarterback money. They don't even want to hear about what Justin Jefferson had gotten, because that's for receivers. They'll say, yeah, the most money any receiver's gotten.
I'm just saying that's a huge bag Jefferson got.
And that is. And a lot of it is, a lot of it's guaranteed, like most contracts are these days, but the entire package isn't guaranteed. Another player looking at that same scenario is Trevor Lawrence. What do you do with him? I think the Jaguars don't have a choice but to sign him, because he was your number one guy overall as your franchise quarterback. He did get there a little earlier than you expected in terms of the playoffs and moving forward into the playoffs. The only problem is, in that short period of time, he also regressed in that third season. The third season, when most quarterbacks are finally supposed to get it, and if you pick this quarterback, you're like, okay, our guy's finally hitting his stride. We know whether we have to add guys around him or whether he's just not the guy. I mean, Zach Wilson, his third year, we saw he's not the guy. Got to get him out of there. Trevor Lawrence has given you that mixed bag. Now they have to gamble on whether or not was last year the way he really is, or was that first time when he got to the playoffs, was that flukish? They got to decide between that and put a dollar amount on it, but it has to be a dollar amount that's up there with the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL as well. They're looking at the quarterback number before even if it's in terms of a franchise number, when the average quarterback numbers come in at the top 5, they got to look at the top number. They're not looking at receivers, only quarterback money. So the Jazz got something to think about too when it comes to it.
Right. I think Trevor Lawrence has a lot to prove this season. He definitely has to perform better. Going into last season, they were the favorites to win their division.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the Texans overtook them the final week of the season, I believe. They didn't even win the division.
Nope.
And he's got to play better, especially with all those weapons.
Yeah.
You wonder what's wrong with Trevor Lawrence. Why can't they put up numbers and points? I believe it was week 5 before he actually had a good game. Like if you remember, we were talking.
190 yards. This and that.
He's due for a big game. Week 2, man, he's due for a big game.
For real.
Week 4, man, he's really due for a big game. Week 5, wow, he finally had a big game.
A big game. Yes.
But he didn't continue with those big games. He wasn't consistent.
Yeah, he showed that inconsistency. And when you watch the Jaguar games that I had watched last season, you saw some of these throws, man. Guys were wide open. He just made bad reads over and over and over. And this is before it became an issue of if he's injured or not. and then the injuries started coming in, so it kind of went hand in hand with being more erratic. But before those injuries were an issue, maybe he was injured before then and didn't say anything, and then they ultimately had to say something. But before that, he was erratic as hell, missing passes by 10, 15 yards when he had time in the pocket. And I was like, wow, that sounds like a complete regression.
Now, sounds like Mitch
Trubisky. Yeah. But I'm thinking that the talent's there. I've always thought it was there. But
that's what it sounds like.
I'm thinking now that if he stepped forward this year and was just consistent and was better than he was last year and shows a semblance of what he was 2 seasons ago, they could give him the money. I think they might do it in the offseason anyway, so it's not a distraction throughout their season, especially if they start off well. They don't want that. But I don't know what to think about Trevor Lawrence anymore. Before, I was thinking, when he was drafted, I was thinking about can't miss, and there was just something in me. It's like, nah, not necessarily can't miss, maybe just a level under that, but damn sure good enough with the Jaguars organization to move forward and be a threat in the playoffs. And in today's age, get yourself into the freaking Super Bowl at least once. But I just don't know what to think about him anymore. And now we got the CJ Stroud factor. All these damn players that have been drafted, I think, were pushed into the forefront because of CJ Stroud. JJ McCarthy probably pushed further into the first round or into the first round period because of what CJ Stroud had done. Now, all of these egomaniacal quarterbacks and quarterback coaches, they think that they can make the quarterback the same way. That's typically what happens when you bring in guys like Tim Tebow came in years ago when Josh McDaniel thought he could make him a star quarterback. He just wasn't a quarterback for the NFL.
Yeah, I can't speak on what GMs and coaches were thinking about JJ McCarthy because
I can't.
During the season, no one was saying he's a top 10 pick. And then after the championship game, he had a decent game, but I think he performed much better with his legs than he did with his arm. Mm-hmm. He became a top 10 prospect. I don't know what happened. And I think that was before the combine even.
Man, we talked about that kind of thing before the season even ended last year, and it had nothing to do with him. We were just talking about how all of a sudden players that you've watched all this time, you think they're good players. When draft time comes or even combine time comes, people aren't necessarily talking about them anymore. There's some other guy that comes out of the woodwork, and they're the guy that they're all of a sudden latching on to. And the next thing you know, they take him in the first round for some rhyme or reason, when if you looked at the numbers and you looked at the games, watched the games, you just didn't see the reason why they jumped into the first round. I use Leonard Davis as an example. Bryant McKinney, the number 1 tackle in college football, never gave up a sack in his entire life. That includes high school, JC, and 2 national championship game teams with the Miami Hurricanes. Draft time comes, they take Leonard Davis out of Texas. What the hell was going on? What were they looking at?
Yeah, I don't know what a lot of these teams are looking at, how they come up with their draft boards, or what they give importance to, because Michael Penix's word was he performed better than any quarterback at the combine. Then when the Falcons took him, I think at number 9,
they're shocked.
People were up in arms like, why did they take Penix? They got Kirk Cousins and blah, blah. Hey, you just finished talking about he had the best combine of any quarterback, including Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May. I mean, I don't think that was a bad pick.
But I'm thinking
we just mentioned Cousins coming off an Achilles injury. Hey, you need insurance.
You do need insurance. And if that insurance happens to be your rookie quarterback who can learn on the fly because of that injury, well, let it be, because it's going to be a throwaway season anyway. Because if Kirk went down, it's kind of a throwaway season. If your rookie doesn't do well, they're not supposed to. It's kind of a throwaway season anyway. Get into more OTAs and mini camps and training camps the following season, then let it start and make your decision. But then you're also tied up financially because of Kirk Cousins' huge contract. If a Michael Penix, I thought he would go in the late first round, maybe even early second round, because of the knee injury, not even because of his game. The knee injury, a little skeptical because of the way it came about.
The history of injuries.
Yeah, the history of injuries. Yes, and I was a bit skeptical, by the way, when he came from Indiana to come over to Washington. I was like, well, he didn't play so well at Indiana. Then he comes to Washington. And is it the coaching? Is it really him or what? Well, we're going to find out now. I'm still thinking he has something to offer. That national championship game wasn't his best time. He picked a bad time to have a bad game, but that was also an excellent Michigan defense.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that was also a product of that D line putting pressure on him.
Oh, God, what a the same pressure they would put on Bama. I mean, they was getting people, man. That defense wasn't playing games. But hey, football's coming up, as we already know. The media days for these colleges are starting up next month. We already know SEC Media Day kind of leads the way. All of this news with college football, with numbers and NILs and lawsuits, everything. It's going to be the mess. And we can wait for that mess because tomorrow night, the NBA, we're going to finally start the road to finding out who the champions of the NBA's 2023-24 season is.
No, that's tonight. Game 1 is tonight.
Tonight, yeah. Dallas, look at it tomorrow. Dallas Mavericks, Celtics. Man, like you said, you're excited about watching this game. I'm looking more forward to this backcourt of Dallas being as good as advertised as people now are saying, one of the best ever, or what? Is it just the best most recently, or is it possibly the best ever? I think this is going to be contingent on how they take care of this series.
Right, and I don't think people are making a lot or enough of Kyrie facing his former team. A lot of people refer to his time in Brooklyn, and they don't talk so much about his time in Boston. When he went to Boston, they were favorites. People thought he's got some young guns in there. He's going to get them to follow his lead, and they're going to be very dangerous. And it didn't work out, and Boston couldn't get rid of him quick enough. And now he's got a chance to get some get back against the Celtics. Yeah. And they asked my guy Drew Holiday, what do you do against Kyrie Irving? He's not stupid like Anthony Edwards. I should say
right.
Stupid, but overly confident. He said pray. But Drew Holiday is a dog. He
is.
He might pray, but he's gonna go out there. He's gonna try and get in his ass to slow him down.
He's gonna make his point.
Yeah,
he said he's gonna make his point in front of the Boston crowd. And Kyrie, I know a few Boston fans. They didn't like him. I know a Boston fan in particular. He didn't like Kyrie at all. So I guess that was kind of the sentiment throughout the organization, and not the organization, but throughout the fan base. They think that he didn't put forth his best effort with them and moved on and just did other things somewhere else. So I don't think he's going to get an applause tonight when he gets out there. Once he gets out there, gets the ball in his hand, they probably going to boo him every time he touches the ball. It's going to be one of those things.
They might, but I'm excited for this series. I think it's a really good matchup. Again, Dallas might have the best two players. They might. They definitely have the best player. But Kyrie, on any given night, he could be the second best player.
Yep, I'm about to say, yeah.
Just like game 1 against the T-Wolves. He came out, he had 20 in the first half, I think.
Like Anthony Edwards. Something like that. Yeah.
Whatever it was. Like, all right, Anthony Edwards, you're my matchup, but take this. 24.
Just like when I was thinking he had nothing left. He's an old dude, man. He's not going to really go
after
it.
I tried to tell you.
That damn dog went out there. Hey, still a New Jersey dude via Australia, but still a New Jersey guy. Still got that heart, tri-state area heart going on. And now it's going to be he and Luka now. Now Luka has all lights on him, all eyes on him. This is what he's been looking for all this time. When he was drafted, LeBron was his guy. Now he's out there. Well, not with LeBron, but this is the goal that he had, to be up there with LeBron in terms of winning a championship. If he gets a chance and he does win the championship, this will be one of many championships possibly that he could win throughout his young career.
It's possible, but also think back to what we were saying about the Nuggets last year. We're like, is this the start of a dynasty? And they didn't even make it to the conference final. So let's pump the brakes. Game 1 hasn't even started yet.
You know what? But with Dallas, though, you know what? Even if they win this series, I was just saying that for an anecdote to talk about what Luka was looking forward to coming into the league. If Dallas even wins this championship, I'm not looking for them to repeat next season. I don't think this is the kind of team that can repeat for next season. I think breaks kind of fell their way and things just worked for them for this time. They're shining. I think the West is going to be filled with landmines next year, to where I don't believe they're going to do it. Regardless of what seed they are, I don't think they're going to repeat even if they win this year. At least we were more confident thinking that Denver could have done it and repeated after seeing what we saw last season. And it looked like they was heading that way until they were derailed big time by Minnesota.
Yeah, Denver's issue was they weren't able to secure their bench players. Bruce Brown left, somebody else left, so they didn't go as deep as they did last year.
And Aaron Gordon decided to choke at the last second when he played well in the playoffs. Oh God, come on, Eric. He just decided, you know what? I did all I can do, man.
Yeah, but if
Let's
you're
start these
hanging your
stars.
hopes, if you're hanging your hopes on Aaron Gordon,
Oh,
you got a
no,
problem.
I think you're hanging your hopes on other players who need to step up at a time when they're supposed to step up. The stars are going to be there because the stars were playing. And we saw the two stars with Denver playing and doing well, doing what they're supposed to do, which have made them stars. And you're looking for these other guys who are considered the depth guys. And also, he's a starter, so he's not just depth. You're looking for him to at least do his part. He's done it before. You need it when it matters. He didn't do it.
But it wasn't
All
just
hands on
Aaron.
deck.
It just wasn't Aaron Gordon.
Oh, no,
KCP
this
was
wasn't
nowhere to
Aaron
be
Gordon, but
found.
a few points
Porter
for
was
him would have
missing
helped and gone
shots.
a long way.
Yeah, Porter was missing shots. He did hit a big three in Game 7, but one shot. They obviously needed more than 1 3 from him.
He was pretty crappy throughout the series, though. I mean, it's like since his brother got in trouble, man, this guy's head hasn't been in it, man.
I don't know. So who you got tonight?
Man, see, I don't want to look at the Vegas line because they've been wrong so many damn times, and I ran out of money.
I wouldn't even pick the.
I'm going. I mean, Celtics,
winning?
man. It's just I'm thinking it's almost a no-brainer, but I had so many no-brainers that lost. Man, better put some brains in this one, man. Still going with the Celtics, though. I want to see what Porzingis does. He doesn't have to average his season total with 20 points that he averaged this season. He gets 10, 15 points. I think he's done more than enough to help the rest of those guys just carry the team.
Yeah, Porzingis being on the court is going to help the Celtics immensely. I mentioned this the other night. He's going to bring one of those big guys, whoever's guarding him, Gafford or Lively or whoever. They're going to have to respect his three-point shooting. So that's going to bring them away from the paint. That will allow for Tatum and or Brown or Holiday, whoever, to go to the basket with less of a defensive presence.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also interested to see how the Celtics defend the pick and roll, because that pick and roll is deadly for the Mavericks. If you don't cut off Kyrie's path to the basket, he's making a layup for the most part, or a floater. Yeah. Or if the big man comes up to help, they throw the alley-oop. Same thing with Luka. So how they defend the pick and roll will be very telling as to who wins these games.
Now, what does Dallas have to do? Because there's a lot more of a threat coming their way from the Celtics, because if the 5 of them are out there, including Porzingis, that's the kind of the power 5 you need out there to beat any team. They still have 2 guys, and those guys aren't known for their defense either. They're known for their IQ. They're known for their athleticism. At least Kyrie is. But when it comes down to all of what the Celtics have, including old Al Horford from the 3-point range, but everything says that shit. Even
he can spread the floor too. Yeah, Horford can spread the floor also.
Yeah.
So if Horford and Porzingis are in the game with Holiday, Brown, and Tatum, they could just have 5 guys around the perimeter.
It's pretty all-star team right there, man. Kind of, sort of.
But what was the question you asked?
I said,
what are the Mavs going
to have to worry about with the Celtics?
I think. See, to me, Dallas is hard to blow out. And you saw that against the T-Wolves. In the first 3 games, T-Wolves would get out to double-digit leads, but Kyrie would make a basket. They'd get a stop. Then Luka hits a 3. Kyrie hits another basket, and within 45 seconds, the lead's back down to 5.
Yeah.
And that has to be frustrating for the team that had the lead. It was like, damn, we were just on the brink of opening it up, and now it's a 5-point game. Plus, coach calls timeout, right? And that's because the Kyrie and Luka are so talented offensively, they can bring a run to an end.
But you also talked about having those closers. The Celtics has closers too. They got guys who, if they stay within close range, they can close the show too. They need to close the show. As great as Minnesota was.
I can't say what I said about the T-Wolves.
Exactly. They didn't have any closers, man.
If it's a 5-point game with three minutes left, I got the Mavericks. Because the T-Wolves didn't have those closers.
And it kept happening.
But the Celtics do.
Yep.
And even if Tatum's not being the closer or making the shots, he can kick it to Horford or kick it to Porzingis to make the big shots. Jaylen Brown, he's a closer. Yeah, he hit that 3 in the corner with almost no time on the clock.
Yeah.
And Drew Holiday, all he does is make
know his game.
Right. All he does is make plays.
Yep.
So Kyrie might light him up for 30, but in the last minute, he might get that block shot. He might get that steal when it really, really matters. And at the end of the day, like, hey, oh, he hit me up for 30, but we won the game. I got the steal. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean? Hey, take it
That's the
that
kind
way.
of player Drew Holiday is. He's not gonna put his head down like, man, Kyrie's killing me. No, he's gonna keep guarding him. And eventually he's gonna make that one play that pushes the Celtics.
Yep, and he's been there, done that, had his championship recently. Now he's with Boston trying to help them get theirs, and their illustrious history. But, I mean, Jason Tatum, I think this is going to be the series he finally steps up and be the Jason Tatum we're expecting him to be in a championship game because he hasn't played the way that we would think that he would play from beginning to end of the season. It was Jaylen Brown who came and becoming the guy, the offensive guy, getting the Eastern Conference Player of the series. He did a great job, an unexpected job. And I'm just thinking, as a Boston fan, you might just think that Jason Tatum, not jealousy, but that competitive edge will be the reason why you'll see a lot more of him. You'll probably get a 40 spot in this game or sometime in this series. You're going to get a 40 spot from him.
Don't ask me why I'm laughing because I got this thought in my head. I think it was Karate Kid 3. Danielson's getting beat up and he's on the mat and he's trying to quit. And Mr. Miyagi's like, no, Danielson, you stay focused. Your best karate's still inside. So watching Jason Tatum, we don't view him as a dog, right?
No,
Anthony Edwards, he's a dog. Drew Holiday, he's a dog. This guy, he's a dog. Jason Tatum, let that dog out. It's still inside you. Come on, bro.
He has to identify it, and then he has to reach inside and show it. And he isn't doing that. Man, isn't he a St. Louis guy? These guys are tough, hard-nosed guys who know how to play basketball.
I don't know. He went to Duke, so he might be a
he went to Duke. But I also remember the story he talked about when Coach K came to his house all nice to his family, this and that. And then when he comes to Duke, he starts practicing and he starts doing things in practice that Coach K doesn't like. Coach K curses him out. No one ever thinks Coach K would do something like that. Curses him out and said, man, I should have left you in St. Louis. Like, treat him like garbage. And he said, man, he never heard anybody say anything like that to him before. And that's when he became a dog on that Duke team. That's what he needs to channel this time around. I don't think anybody's going to go curse him out and make that game come out of him. But it has to be within him to know that he has that dog in him, that St. Louis background of him being a dog, and go out there and play.
I don't know. Like, watching Celtics games, my perception is he's a really nice kid.
That's it. And that Duke background will help him.
And he wants to be liked by everybody. Fuck that. Go out there and kick some ass and don't give a damn what anybody thinks. Go out there and get yours.
And he's capable of doing it. And it's going to be really interesting tonight to see if he's the one to do it or is Jaylen Brown going to try to pick up from the last game and think he's really that guy now. He has the potential. Apparently, he's done it. But let's see if he's going to acquiesce and let Jason Tatum be the guy he's supposed to be scoring, or is he now thinking he has to do all the dirty work or do the work, period, and Jason Tatum's just along for the ride, and if he gets his points, he does. If he doesn't, he doesn't.
Well, we will find out in about an hour and a half.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? And we're on basketball, and I'm glad we're talking basketball. The NBA Finals coming up. But you know what's still lurking in the background and is lurking heavily in the background? That attention the WNBA has wanted for so many years. They're getting it in so many directions, kind of sort of good, almost all bad, but they're talking about them. The old adage of marketing, bad publicity is still publicity and it's still good. I don't know about that, man. People getting turned off about the things that are happening in the WNBA. You're getting to see some real people showing their colors while following the NBA now, the WNBA.
Well, since you brought it up, Jamel Hill.
Oh, this guy.
Two fingers for you. She's saying that she's only getting attention because she's white. It's not because she's white. It's because she's different. I guarantee you, if Juju Watkins next season for USC is hitting logo threes, getting 40-point triple doubles, and by the time her senior season comes around, she passes Pistol Pete, she passes Caitlin Clark, You don't think she's gonna get the same attention? I mean, if her
You don't want to wait for that.
if her highlights are just as good as Caitlin Clark's, wow, she hit this one from the logo. Wow, she hit this one from 35. Whoa, look at this behind the back pass. Wow, look at that dime. This no look dime for the layup. That's what Caitlin Clark did in college. That's why she got all the attention, because she is different, not because she's white. If you want to say being white is different, whatever. But it's her game on the court that is different. Nobody else has her highlights. You can say Cheryl Miller's the greatest of all time. They brought up Nancy Lieberman the other night. You can talk about Candace Parker, Cheryl Swoops, whoever.
All the big names from years ago.
You can put all their highlights together, and they won't look like Caitlin Clark's highlights.
And that's why I say even right now with Angel Reese, she hasn't shown anything that we haven't seen before. We've seen someone like her more recently than we've ever seen anyone like Caitlin, because we haven't seen anyone like Caitlin at all. She's a poor man's
Candace Parker. She gets rebounds and putbacks.
Yeah, but Candace Parker was much more dominant than what she is. You watch her play. This chick is 6'3". She's 6'3", still 25% from the field. Bro, she's missing layups that are right there. She's doing a lot of what the other putrid players are doing. And now they're trying to push Asia Wilson. Now she's all of a sudden the GOAT. People are saying the GOAT now. How are you going to call her the GOAT? You wasn't saying it last year. Everybody's all of a sudden being physical. Everybody's all of a sudden playing defense this year, now that Caitlin Clark is in the WNBA. All these other people who were doing all this nice stuff never got outside of that WNBA bubble. Now because of Caitlin Clark getting the attention she's getting, now all these ratchet race pimps are coming out of the woodworks. The tribesmen and women are coming out of the woodwork to now uphold these women that probably were doing good 2 and 3 years ago. They never gave a damn about, never talked about at all. But because Caitlin's doing what she's doing, they want to talk about she's the GOAT. Well, if this is the first season of her being the GOAT, that means you're not a GOAT. It takes more than one season to be a GOAT.
I think people are just very, very reluctant to just give her flowers, right? When she had 3 points, everybody, she had 3 points, but it's a back-to-back.
Which people, though? The people.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but I'm saying, you know, it was the second game of a back-to-back. The day before, she renewed her rivalry against Angel Reese, and they got the W. You know, so she expended a lot of energy that Saturday morning, and then she had to play the back-to-back on Sunday. She had a bad game. She went 1 for 10 from 3. I don't know what's up with her shooting. Maybe she's feeling pressure. I don't know what it is, but at some point, she took 10 threes. When she starts making 6 threes, 7 threes, 8 threes in the game, man, watch out. Watch out. Because she might bring this back out. That'll be her fuck all y'all when it's time.
And let alone the dimes, if these women can finally hold on to the ball when she's passing it to them and executing and completing the assist, that would also be another thing. And by the way, she's been off for quite some time. She's playing again tomorrow. So this rest you're talking about,
finally she got,
probably going to do some damn good.
Yeah, they had, 12 games, 11 games in 20 days? That's like almost like a baseball schedule. Basketball schedules don't usually go like that.
No, I'm saying, and she just came out of college not too long ago.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but I can't use that excuse. Every rookie.
Everybody has exactly. But you know what? They're acting like she's done nothing, even though she's had a 30-point game already. Come on, man. They're acting like she's done nothing. She has a 30-point game, she had a 20-point game, she's had her things in between, and they're still making it seem, there's always the next argument or the next complaint.
She's top 5 in this. She's top 5 in assists also.
Exactly. As a rookie.
Like I saw a meme earlier. It had top 5 in points, top 5 in rebounds, top 5 in steals. I'm like, why did you leave out assists? Because you don't want to include Caitlin Clark?
Of course. The shenanigans of the tribesmen and women, come on, it goes beyond the pale. These people don't care about what she does. They just don't like that she's a white girl in their sport doing what she's doing. And she doesn't even have to dominate yet. She's going to get to that point because she's showing flashes of it already, playing for a very bad team. They just can't stand it. And they can try to hide it all they want because they're just so emotional about it. They can't hide it anymore. You listen to the shit they say and you know what they mean. And some of them are just straight out telling you exactly what they mean. And they just hoping you don't call them on it, or they want to go back and forth being the emotional people they are, going back and forth, want to argue about the obvious. and then they want to be defended indefensible, like the nonsense that happened with Kennedy Carter the other night. They want to, well, she elbowed her in the course of a play, if she did use her elbow at all, during the course of her inbound play, when the ball was even in play, that's when the foul happened. They'll break their necks to try to defend the indefensible. That's what's wrong with the culture now.
The only thing I fear is that people are going to start hating her because of her fans. Because, like, some fans are complaining they're being too rough. But she's not the only one getting the business. All the rookies are getting the business. And even some rookies, non-rookies are getting the business. So that's not my complaint. My complaint is if she gets fouled, call the foul.
That's it.
Just give her the foul. You know, and to her credit, she's not crying. You know, she talked about it. Yeah, it's physical. I just got to play through it. I got to, you know, so she's saying all the right things. She has the right attitude. But I think some of her fans can be a little whiny. And so people are going to go at her because of her whiny fans. Much like LeBron. But LeBron,
he had to make a cameo.
LeBron was just flopping and his follow my lead. And then they're losing by 20. He's taking his jersey off and throwing it. And that's not follow. That's the lead. You want them to follow? Come on, guys. Let's all go. Game's not over yet, but let's leave.
Man,
I'm just saying, you know, because Caitlin Clark right now, thus far, she hasn't done anything wrong. She hasn't done anything to deserve any hate.
No, she hasn't. And it may be her fans, but at the same time, she's still not the one complaining. And the only time she talks about it is when she's asked about it. She's not just bringing it up at a press conference. Well, you saw they're not giving me the calls. They're hitting me and they're butchering me. She's not saying that. There'll be someone in the audience that out of the little pool of reporters that will ask her a question and she will answer it based on what they were asking. And then you'll have someone who deliberately takes it out of context and just say, see, she's complaining. She hasn't complained. She's been in the league, at least not publicly, because damn sure if it were public, people would have said something by now. You would have a clip of it. They'd have made a meme of it by then. And damn sure people would have quoted it, even if they're making up AI quotes of her saying it. You know, it's just that it's exactly what I'm seeing, not what they're telling you. They're telling you how much they respect her being in there. You know, you talked about, did you mention Jamela Hill, who you mentioned that said, McNutt. There's always going to be some type of a but at the end of everything she says.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is. You give these fake accolades, these fake adulation, and then you come with the but factor because you don't even believe the crap you're saying. You don't like that you have to say it.
Right. So, yeah, Monica McNutt, she had an incident on First Take with Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp.
Mm-hmm.
She said she asked a question, and the question wasn't appreciated. And she's telling Bomani Jones on his show podcast that I just asked a question, and I never got the answer. I thought she said that she misinterpreted the relationship. She thought she could ask that question, but the response she got, she was obviously wrong. But Bomani Jones asked her about Caitlin Clark, and as you referenced, I was watching the video. She said, "Oh, she did. She's great. She did this. She did this. She did that. She did that. And now this and now that." And then the proverbial but came. I was like, I knew it was coming. There shouldn't be a but. There's just end the sentence with her accomplishments, and then go to your other point. You could say Angel Reese has also made an impact. Also, not but. There's a difference. But saying that, we all know that her Angel Reese's impact is this big compared to what Caitlin has done. So even saying that, it's not necessary.
They don't like it. That's it. It's emotional. Now we're dealing with women who are even more emotional. Now you're competitive and you're emotional. You're not even in the game and you're still more emotional than people who are in the game because you're trying to speak on their behalf. And the person you don't like, it's all about race. It's as simple as that. And the crazy part is we've had white women who've been promoted in the WNBA in the past. They just had not been Caitlin because they could not do what Caitlin had done in college, and now she's getting a chance to do in the pros. And she's shown it intermittently in the early going and it only leads you to believe that it's probably going to be something that's going to happen throughout the season and throughout her career if it continues like this, provided there's no serious injury to keep her from doing it. And they just can't come to terms with it. They just hate it. And you go to social media, it's on fire specifically because of this. And then you get Angel Reese telling you that people are watching the WNBA because of her. It's not just one person. It's me. 20 years from now, people are going to say, man, cut it out.
So Joy Taylor on Speak, she said that nobody cared about Caitlin Clark until Angel Reese did this to her, and she did the
no.
I can't speak for everybody, but for me, that didn't do nothing to me. For me, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, they were both nobodies to me. I saw it, and my issue was it shouldn't be an issue for Angel Reese doing it because Caitlin Clark had done it 2 or 3 games before that. And people were up in arms that she did it to Caitlin Clark. People were just butthurt because Caitlin did it. But this past women's college basketball season, as I mentioned earlier, she was dropping 40-piece triple doubles.
Yes.
35, 12, and 10, 37, 11, and 7. I mean, plus logo threes. And I mean, that's what got my attention. Then she didn't play Angel Reese until the Final Four.
And got rid of her.
So for me personally, it had nothing to do with Angel Reese. It was all Caitlin.
Oh, absolutely. We've seen Angel Reese before. We've seen players like her. I've talked about it several times before, how I thought Brittany Griner would have been that all-time great in the WNBA if she looked like she looked when she was at Baylor. Of course, it's a little more difficult in the WNBA than it is in college, but she was that dominant in college. I thought that would be, even if the NBA wanted to be politically correct and wanted to give an opening for a woman to try out on the team, even being the last person on the bench, she probably could have got an opportunity, might not have made it, but at least gave a good account of herself. That's what I thought she would have been, that PC piece you could put out there. But nah, she turned out to be a very good player, but still not that aura that Caitlin had came into the league with. She's completely different. Her overall game is different. And people like Angel Reese don't like to accept it. Her fans are even as obnoxious as Caitlin freaking Clark fans, if you want to look at it, because they're saying a whole bunch of emotional, mean, nasty-spirited, and most times wrong things. They're not factually correct.
Yeah. So has anyone else ever been guarded by the person who made their first free throw and had another free throw coming up? Made the first free throw and then went to guard her. And they're like, wait, you got another free throw. That's never happened before. That didn't even happen to Michael Jordan. That didn't happen to LeBron. It doesn't happen. It never happened to anybody. What other female basketball player gets guarded without the ball damn near 94 feet?
Yep.
That doesn't happen. There's a reason she's getting that attention. There's a reason she's getting that kind of defensive strategy played against her. She's different.
Absolutely different. That's why the league is going to thrive because of her. It's going to thrive on her back. And these other people who are in the league and been there trying to have their struggle, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but no one really cares because all these new fans aren't looking at the past fans. They're looking at what brought them there, which is Caitlin. And, you get these ridiculous articles that are kind of help throw fire on throw gasoline on the fire. And like I mentioned a few weeks ago, a month or so ago, with the USA Today article saying that the face of the WNBA has to be a black woman. Well, you're adding more gasoline to the fire, especially for the tribes people who like hearing crap like that. They like being placated. And so these people are the ones who's going to talk about Caitlin, and they're going to be against her regardless of what she's doing. She's not doing anything for people not to like. And they're talking about she's looking for special treatment. She's not saying anything. She's not the one saying anything. She's just playing the game. And when you're asking her about it, well, that's just how it is. She's pretty much saying that.
But before we wrap this up, I think we need to mention the Lakers' possible coach, Dan Hurley.
Yeah. I'm hearing it. I'm hoping it's not the truth. Dan Hurley, I want him to go for that 3-peat at UConn, man. That would be a nice thing. We haven't had that in college basketball in a long time.
That's why I want him to go. That's why I want him to go. Get out of here.
Yeah, well, when that came, because it was JJ Redick initially, because that's LeBron's boy. But when they brought up Darren Hurley, I started to think about the Hurley family. You know, if you're in that New York area or even got a chance, if you follow Duke, you already know about the Hurley family, led by their father being a legendary coach in the Jersey area. But I think about when Coach K had the opportunity to go to L.A. And remember that? When Coach K was going to go to L.A., and then everybody was begging him not to go. And then he changed his mind at the last second. He said he wasn't going to take the job. I think he was going to go out there with Kobe. And then at the last second, he decided not to take it. And he pointed to some stories, some notes and one of the students wrote him about leaving, and it touched his heart, and he decided, "Now I'm going to stay here." Now he's iconic as hell and will never go away in Duke lore. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. So I'm thinking, Daniel Hurley, you don't need the NBA, not right now, especially a team like LA. Go somewhere else where the pressure isn't as much when the opportunity comes, because it will come back around. You know, Brad Stevens was in that place at Butler. It will come back around. I think it will come back around for him with a team that's better, because Billy Donovan leaving the Gators and going to Oklahoma City and then moving on from there, things didn't work out for him, and they didn't really put their signature on the things that he was doing. I think he could just enjoy this three-peat if it's a possibility, and then maybe when the opportunity will come, which is guaranteed, especially after a three-peat, go with another team, just not LA. Don't go with the Knicks, a New York team. Don't go with the LA team. Go with one of those other teams you can get away with it with. I mean, you could have your problems as a first-year coach in the NBA with.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good fit for the Lakers. You talk about LeBron in his 21st, 22nd season.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I saw talk that if they hired Hurley, LeBron be like, "Man, I ain't coming back here. He's gonna find a new team to go to." I just don't think that's a good fit. You're talking about, that's a veteran team. I don't know, is he going to be able to get his point across? Is he be able to reach them?
That's what I'm talking about.
I don't know. I'd hate to have another PJ Carlissimo incident, even though Spreewell's not in the league anymore.
Do a little MMA on him.
I just don't think it's a good fit. If it was Oklahoma City, a young team,
yes, that's what I'm talking about.
I could roll with that. But a veteran team like the Lakers, I don't know if those guys want a coach like that. I mean, think about it. He physically touched his player during the game and got a technical. You know his intensity. I don't know if that's going to go over.
That's not going to fly in the NBA, man. He's going to fly in the NBA.
Coach,
he's going to be the one flying.
Hey, LeBron's going to be like, "All right, I know we call you coach, but in case you don't know, I'm the coach of this team."
Yeah. He doesn't want to come into that shit show. That's what it would be, man, going into LA. Man, any other team, not any other team. What team like, I don't even see, I wouldn't even want him to come into one of them bottom feeding teams like Charlotte, because you kind of in a position where you can't even win. Yeah. Go somewhere that's a middle tiering team. Right now, the way things are going, freaking Memphis, go there. Since John's gonna come back trying to be a new man.
Like, I thought, my first thought was OKC. But what about Philly? Maxi's young, Embiid. He seems like a guy that
coming and going, though. He was giving you that insinuation that he don't want to be there.
Yeah, but Embiid, he seems coachable to me.
Well, with a college coach, if he could pull hell with the damn repeat, he should get the respect. But three-peat guarantees the respect with the team that you choose. That's going to be a team that's going to respect you. I don't think those big market teams are the ones. Philly's a big market as well. But they just have.
If Hurley gets the job, he should take a cue from Mike Ditka. When Mike Ditka got the job with the Bears, his first meeting, he comes in, he says, "All right, guys, I got some good news and bad news. Good news is we're going to the Super Bowl. Bad news is a lot of you are not going to be there."
Yeah, I heard about that, man. I heard about that. Wasn't that when Mike Singletary was first was there, right? When he came out of Baylor?
I can't remember if he was there already or not, but
I know Mike had his problem.
They might have came in around the same time. I think it was 81.
Yeah.
But man, I'd laugh my ass off.
Some of y'all will be coming.
He was prophetic. It was true.
And it was true though. They got their damn chip in 85. And I bet a lot of those dudes for those bad teams were absolutely gone, because that was a absolutely ridiculous, I think, world-changing team that year. Defensively, still looked at as one of the best of all time.
Yeah, definitely. So there might be a path to success for Hurley. I just don't. I don't think it's a good fit
Nah.
with the Lakers as that roster is currently constructed.
Yeah, I hope he stays with UConn anyways, man. College basketball is having so many of its own problems to begin with, man. And now with these lawsuits overall with the NCAA, things may change in college basketball just as much as they've changed in football. I expected basketball to be first anyway, but everything overall is probably going to change when you look at all these changing of conferences and just the entire geography of everything. Just a mess. I mean, hell, well, look at some of these college students now. They couldn't point to places on the map anyway. But anyway.
Oh, real quick, because we're in an hour. Shout out to Matt Rule. He's doing Matt Rule things. He just signed his kid from Germany, 6'7",
really?
freakish athlete, no stars, but he's an athlete and he's got size. He's a project. We'll see what happens.
Florida State's done that before with players overseas. They got that NFL program they take overseas for the young kids, and they grow into the program so that they have an idea what they're doing, and they just have to match their athleticism up with the discipline with which they're choosing, whether it's going to be American football or soccer or basketball, whatever the hell it is. So I think that, hey, I'm not going to frown on it. So I think more teams are going to start doing that, bringing these players from overseas that have the athleticism. You just got to fit them into where they belong. So, yeah, I can see that going on. But anyways, hell, we're coming to an end right now. So the NBA Finals are coming up today. The Celtics taking on the Dallas Mavericks, a 6.5-point underdog the Dallas Mavericks are. Let's see what these Celtics can do. Are they going to have one of their crap games that started off early before they finally have to try to get serious about it along the way during the series? We'll get to see. Everybody had some rest now, so not too much complaining about not having the rest.
I'm going to pick the Celtics. Someone's going to hit a three, give them the lead late, and maybe win by 1 or 2.
I'm actually thinking they're going to win by about 8-10 points, man. I'm thinking double digits here. I mean, it's hard to believe, but I think so. You have the second highest scoring team in the NBA, and being at home, and a championship on the line, and everybody's rested, and Porzingis coming back. That's a lot to overcome. I mean, for Dallas, I think. We'll find out. We'll have the answers on Monday when we get back. The Sports Bag Goes podcast is coming to an end on a Thursday, but we'll be back on Monday. But until then, deuces.
Peace.